I think it's us against this state and its many beneficiaries and accomplices. That's really what it comes down to. Once I saw things in that way, most things seem to make sense.
You're watching Silver News Daily. Subscribe for more.
Did you know central banks are quietly hoarding silver at record levels, preparing for a seismic shift in the global economy? You might think, why silver and why now? But what's happening behind the scenes could directly impact your wealth. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why silver might be the last safeguard against tightening global controls. Don't miss this. Your financial future could depend on it.
I think that there's the possibility of, enhancing and beefing up, believe it or not, this climate change regime, using carbon credits as the alibi for doing so. And likewise, actually increasing bureaucratic red tape and also limiting our freedom to choose what we'd like to use for transportation and whether we use gasoline and things like this. I think, or it could be that Musk might represent, and a lot of people are saying this, I'm not the only one, a kind of Trojan horse where globalism gets in under the guise of MAGA and actually ends up steering the course in a way that people have absolutely no desire to go in, I think. That is also, I think, the replacement of human labor, not just menial labor, but mental labor. This is a big concern. And the question about AI has to be on the table in terms of human redundancy. And without income, people don't have much liberty. So these are not good developments. And I think that there's many aspects of Musk that sort of do resemble fourth industrial revolution promises made by Klaus Schwab, that we'll basically merge the humans and machines. We will basically merge data with human knowledge so that everything is datafied and likewise controlled. And AI poses a possibility of being the most methodically tyrannical type of dictatorship possible, given the possibilities that it's used to monitor behavior and curb certain actions in advance. So there's a lot going on there. I know that's a lot to dig into, but I should say that to keep it grounded, that once again, I would argue that people need to focus on local networks and establishing and strengthening those, and trying to stay out of the chamber that they may be under construction at this time.
Silver has long been considered the unsung hero of financial security, often overshadowed by gold, but equally, if not more, powerful in its own right. In times of economic turmoil, silver consistently emerges as a beacon of stability. But why is this happening now? Let's dig deeper. Recently, silver prices have shown remarkable resilience, holding steady near $30 per ounce despite global uncertainties. This performance isn't random. It reflects a growing recognition of silver's value, not just as an investment, but as a critical hedge against inflation and market volatility. Here's the key. Silver is unique because it straddles two crucial roles. It's both an industrial metal and a safe haven asset. On the industrial side, silver's demand is soaring thanks to its vital role in sectors like electronics, renewable energy, and even medical technology. With governments worldwide pushing for green initiatives, silver's importance in solar panels and electric vehicles cannot be overstated. At the same time, silver's safe haven status makes it a refuge during economic crises. Unlike fiat currencies that can be devalued or manipulated, silver holds intrinsic value that cannot be erased. This duality is what makes silver so attractive right now. And it's not just individual investors noticing this trend. Central banks and institutional investors are turning their attention to silver as they navigate a world of rising interest rates, persistent inflation, and geopolitical uncertainties. The shift suggests that silver is no longer just a supplementary asset, it's becoming a cornerstone for preserving wealth. So here's the question for you. With silver's demand rising and its role in global markets expanding, why isn't it already a key part of your portfolio? As we move forward, we'll uncover how central banks are leveraging this powerful asset and why you should consider doing the same. Stay tuned because the next part is where it gets even more intriguing.
Yeah, there's been a big dust up on X, and it's spilled over into the media. This has been picked up by numerous sources that Elon Musk has been proposing and recommending that we actually accelerate the H-1B visas to bring in foreign workers for high-tech purposes. They want to have quantum computing and AI running everything. So this caused a great deal of dust up, causing many people to object to Elon Musk. And after they did so, many people were demonetized and eventually many others banned from the X site over this. This is a tempest in a teapot, but on the other hand, you're looking at the some facet of the incoming administration, with Elon Musk having a great deal of influence, having donated $250 million to the Trump campaign, or to one of the PACs, I suppose. And so likewise, there was Musk said some pretty disturbing things to MAGA people, or America First people, I should say, really, more strictly speaking. Some of the things I can't repeat on YouTube, they would not, and I don't want to sully your show with them, but they weren't kind, and this has caused a great deal of consternation. And then also, of course, he dropped a lot of people, banned a lot of people from the site, demonetized others. People lost their premium check marks and all that. But the bigger question is whether, in fact, Musk will have an inordinate influence over Trump, in particular regarding immigration, because this was one of the key issues, I believe, in the election, and Trump himself said it was the key issue. I think it's probably secondary to other things, but I think it still was very important to the electoral process. And likewise, if Trump is going to renege on some of his previous promises, that would be problematic, I think, and it would look bad for the future of American workers, especially in high tech, where I think there has been a tendency to lay off American workers and to hire people on H-1B visas. I think Musk underwent a tremendous upheaval of firing a lot of employees at Tesla and elsewhere, and replacing them with H-1B visa holders. This is kind of this is certainly nothing like a MAGA talking point, to say the least. And then, of course, we were talking before the show started about Musk being a rather, at best, ambiguous character, especially with reference to liberty and his I would say his...
While many investors are just beginning to recognize silver's potential, central banks have been quietly positioning themselves for what seems to be a significant financial shift. Let's break it down. Why are these powerful institutions stockpiling silver, and what does it mean for the rest of us? Central banks worldwide, traditionally known for holding gold as a reserve, are increasingly adding silver to their vaults. What's fueling this trend? First, it's about diversification. With the global economy facing inflationary pressures and geopolitical instability, banks are hedging their reserves against the uncertainty of fiat currencies like the US dollar. Silver, like gold, offers protection from currency devaluation, but it's more affordable, making it an ideal choice for strategic diversification. Then there's the industrial angle. Silver's critical role in emerging technologies, such as solar energy and electric vehicles has not gone unnoticed. As the demand for these technologies skyrockets, central banks are ensuring they have a stake in this essential metal. It's not just about financial reserves anymore, it's about future-proofing their economies against resource scarcity. But perhaps the most alarming reason behind this silver hoarding is the tightening of global financial controls. With the rise of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and increased government oversight, wealth preservation is becoming harder for the average investor. Central banks understand this shift and are taking proactive measures. By accumulating silver, they're creating a safety net, a buffer against the very controls they're helping to implement. Take a closer look at the numbers. Nations like China, Russia, and India are leading the charge in buying silver alongside gold. These countries are not just hedging, they're preparing for a restructured global financial system, one where traditional assets might lose their value under the weight of centralized control. The question is if central banks, the most informed financial institutions in the world, are prioritizing silver. What does this signal to individual investors like you? As the global financial landscape shifts, it's becoming increasingly clear that silver isn't just an investment, it's a necessity. But this is just the beginning. In the next section, we'll explore how tightening economic controls could change the rules of the game entirely and what it means for your wealth. Stay tuned.
I mean, they took the first step, I guess, with voting, and hopefully that'll have some effect. I mean, there are certain people that'll go on to the point of tax resistance, and I'm certainly not going to recommend that. I don't want to go to jail. And but I would say that this really has got to do with political pressure at that point. Unfortunately, we don't have we have a situation where we have a federal behemoth that really rules over us and extracts money from us against our will, with no contract. It's the only entity that we deal with that can take money from us with no contract whatsoever. Just to put that out there.
As the financial world becomes increasingly centralized, global economic controls are tightening in ways that could dramatically impact individual wealth. At the heart of this shift is the rise of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. While these digital currencies promise efficiency and security, they also come with an alarming trade-off: the potential loss of financial autonomy. CBDCs are designed to replace cash and traditional payment systems with a centralized digital infrastructure. What does this mean for you? It means every transaction could be monitored, and in some cases controlled by central authorities. Think about it. No more anonymous transactions, no more freedom to move your money without oversight. For many, this feels like a step closer to financial surveillance. But here's where silver comes into play. Unlike digital currencies, silver is a tangible asset, something you can hold in your hands and store outside of the digital system. It's immune to the tracking and control mechanisms inherent in CBDCs. This makes it an essential tool for those looking to maintain their financial privacy and independence as these economic controls tighten. The impact of these controls goes beyond privacy. Governments could use CBDCs to enforce policies like negative interest rates, freezing accounts, or even limiting how and where you can spend your money. This isn't just theoretical. It's already happening in pilot programs worldwide. The ability to control spending through programmable money is seen as a powerful policy tool, but it comes at the cost of individual freedom. Meanwhile, central banks are preparing for this new world, ordered by stockpiling assets that are free from these constraints, like silver. This is no coincidence. They know that in a system increasingly dominated by centralized digital currencies, owning tangible assets will be critical for maintaining wealth and power. For individual investors, the lesson is clear: to stay ahead of these changes, diversifying into physical assets like silver could be one of the few ways to protect yourself. So here's the question. As governments and central banks reshape the financial system to gain more control, How will you adapt? In the next step, we'll dive into Michael Rectenwald's insights on why silver is not just an option, but a necessity in this new economic era. Stay with us.
Michael Rectenwald, I think it's michaelrectenwald.substack.com, or just go on Substack and search for me, Michael Rectenwald. It'll come up. And you'll see I post pretty regularly. And that's where I'm basically, releasing all my new material there. And I'm also working on another book, actually two. One's an academic book, and that will be of no interest to most of your listeners. But then I'm also working on a novel, and that probably will be no interest either. But any case, the novel's about freedom and the many ways that the state and its accomplices attempt to keep us from having.
Michael Rectenwald, a leading voice on economic freedom and wealth preservation, has issued a stark warning. The global financial system is shifting beneath our feet, and silver may be your last line of defense. But what exactly does he mean, and why is silver so critical in today's landscape? Rectenwald highlights the growing power of central banks and governments in consolidating financial control through tools like central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. He argues that these mechanisms, while marketed as innovations, pose a significant threat to personal wealth and freedom. CBDCs allow governments to track, control, and even restrict how you spend your money. Imagine having your assets frozen or being denied access to your own funds due to policy changes. This isn't science fiction. It's a potential reality. But where does silver fit into this equation? Rectenwald emphasizes that silver is a unique hedge against this encroaching control. Unlike digital assets or even traditional fiat currencies, silver is outside the reach of centralized authorities. It's a physical asset, meaning it can't be tracked, manipulated, or erased. This gives it unparalleled value in a system increasingly dominated by surveillance and control. Beyond just a hedge, Rectenwald sees silver as a growth opportunity. Central banks aren't just buying gold, they're increasing their holdings in silver too. Why? Because silver's dual role as a monetary and industrial asset makes it indispensable. With its rising demand in sectors like renewable energy and technology, its value is only set to grow. What's truly concerning, according to Rectenwald, is the timeline. The shift towards centralized control and digital currencies is accelerating, leaving little time for individuals to prepare. He warns that failing to diversify into tangible assets like silver could leave you vulnerable to the whims of financial policymakers. So here's the critical takeaway from Michael Rectenwald. Silver isn't just an investment, it's a form of financial independence. In a world where control is tightening, owning silver could mean the difference between protecting your wealth or losing it to a system that no longer prioritizes individual freedom. But how does this affect you personally? In the next step, we'll explore real-world implications and the concrete steps you can take to secure your financial future before it's too late. Don't go anywhere.
It's a purely extortion. I mean, in many regards, because a lot of these services are not for us. And they haven't done anything for. Look at the people in Western North Carolina, still people living in tents while we're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. It's just an outrage. So, I don't know what people can do about that other than object.
Now that we understand the bigger picture of why silver is becoming the go-to asset for central banks and experts like Michael Rectenwald, let's bring it closer to home. What does this mean for you? And how can you navigate these seismic changes in the financial landscape? First, let's talk about inflation. While governments continue to print money at unprecedented rates, the value of fiat currencies is steadily eroding. Everyday essentials like food, housing, and energy are becoming more expensive, and wages aren't keeping up. This is where silver shines. Unlike paper money, silver's value isn't tied to government policies. It's a finite resource, meaning its value often increases when inflation surges. Historically, silver has served as a hedge, reserving purchasing power during economic downturns. Then there's the issue of financial control. Central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, could soon replace cash, introducing a level of oversight that could directly affect your ability to manage your own money. Governments could potentially dictate where, when, and how you spend. Silver offers a safeguard against this loss of autonomy. By holding a tangible, untraceable asset like silver, you retain control over your wealth, free from the reach of centralized authorities. Consider the industrial angle as well. The rapid growth in technology, renewable energy, and healthcare sectors is driving unprecedented demand for silver. Solar panels, electric vehicles, and medical devices all rely heavily on this precious metal. As the world moves toward greener solutions, the demand for silver will only accelerate, pushing its value even higher. For investors, this dual role of silver, as both a safe haven asset and a key industrial material, makes it an unmatched opportunity. But here's the reality check. While central banks are hoarding silver to prepare for future uncertainties, most individual investors are still overlooking it. This leaves the door open for those who act now. Imagine being ahead of the curve, owning an asset that not only protects your wealth, but also positions you for substantial gains as demand surges. So what's stopping you from taking the same steps as central banks? As we move forward, we'll discuss actionable strategies to help you incorporate silver into your portfolio and safeguard your financial future. But before we get there, let me ask you, how prepared are you for a world where financial freedom is no longer guaranteed? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start the conversation.
Well, this recent spate of terrorism is very concerning because I'm afraid that it might be used as a pretext for, the military-industrial complex and its continued robbery of the American taxpayer. I think that is something that I speak against all the time. I'm a non-interventionist, and I think that the U.S. should not be funding or arming other countries, and we should really cut all foreign aid altogether. In my opinion, all foreign aid should be cut, and not to be prejudicial. It'll just be down the line, all foreign aid cut, and most of it is totally wasted. Look at all the money that's going to Ukraine, the billions and hundreds of billions of dollars. To no end, and so forth. So that is something I would like. This is kind of like a mind virus that you have to have sort of resistance to. The implanting of this idea that we need to maybe go to war with Iran or something because of these Muslim attacks, these putatively Muslim attacks. I think I don't put anything past the regime, the deep state, or whatever you might want to call it, to use this as a kind of, pre-coding to initiate more foreign conflicts.
Now that the importance of silver is clear, let's focus on how you can integrate it into your financial strategy. Investing in silver isn't just about buying a shiny metal. It's about choosing the right approach that aligns with your financial goals and protects your wealth against the coming changes. One of the most compelling reasons to consider silver is its versatility. Physical silver, like coins or bullion, provides a sense of security that digital investments simply can't match. Owning physical silver means you have an asset that exists outside of any digital system, immune to the potential pitfalls of centralized control. For those who value privacy and autonomy, this approach ensures that your wealth remains in your hands, untouched by external interference. For investors looking for flexibility and ease of trade, there are other ways to gain exposure to silver's growth potential. Some prefer market-based options that allow them to track silver prices without the need to store the physical asset. These approaches offer liquidity and convenience, but it's essential to remember that they don't carry the same level of independence as owning silver directly. This trade-off makes it crucial to carefully consider what level of control and risk you're comfortable with. Timing is another critical factor. With silver currently trading near $30 per ounce and global demand rising, there's little doubt that the metal's value has room to grow. Acting now rather than waiting for prices to drop or markets to stabilize can help you secure a foothold before silver's potential becomes fully realized. Market conditions show that central banks are already securing their reserves, which means the window for individuals to act is narrowing quickly. For those just starting, guidance can be invaluable. Reputable firms and financial advisors who specialize in precious metals can help you navigate the complexities of the silver market, offering insights into trends, storage options, and strategies to maximize your investment. With their expertise, even newcomers can confidently position themselves to benefit from silver's potential. Ultimately, incorporating silver into your financial strategy is about more than making money. It's about safeguarding your wealth in an era of increasing uncertainty. As we approach the final section, let's take a closer look at why all the signs point to silver as the ultimate
Well, I
hedge
think
against
first
the
of all,
challenges ahead.
the number one point in that grand refusal was to reject the CBDC, and I think that's hopefully we won't have to be faced with that prospect immediately. I do believe that Trump is opposed to the CBDC, but we need to make sure that we don't get corralled into it by virtue of the fact that of convenience, as they'll put it, or inclusion, or whatever rhetoric they want to put on this, because this would be closing the totalitarian circle, because you now would not really have freedom over anything in terms of purchasing, and your finances would be effectively transparent to the Fed and likewise to the federal government. That would be a disaster. And also there could be many curtailments of what you could do with your money based on different criteria like climate change or other things, or, a social credit score of some sort, which comes with the digital identity. So all of those things have to be rejected. The CBDC, the digital identity, and then, of course, these enhancements that of the type that Musk is talking about, actually, with Neuralink, unless you need some enhancement for a disability as a prosthesis, I don't think enhancements are in your best interest at all. I know this may be a little bit far down the road, but it's not that far away. I think that we're already looking at the possibility of these kinds of enhancements being offered. I would put enhancements in scare quotes because they're certainly not, I don't think, beneficial. I think they are potential means for total control, inclusive of your actual thoughts. So that would be a problem. And then I think a lot of the other things, as far as Trump goes, it's possible that Trump will refuse the WHO pandemic treaty, which would be a major plus. He might refuse the World Health Organization altogether, hopefully withdraw from it, and that would solve some of those problems, at least for the time being. We can't ever rest because these globalists have different ways to go about the same things, trying to skin a cat in more than one way, and they'll try to sneak things in on us. So, even over on the administration as well. So, but we can stay vigilant and not give in to or accede to these types of technological enhancements or digital money or digital identity. And then, of course, getting into, I think the ESG thing is kind of taking a back seat, but it could come back through the tax credits, carbon credits, and so forth. So you then try to stay out of the carbon economy if possible, which is really, I think the future is what they're going to try to gauge everything on will be on energy. Energy will be, in effect, the mode of circulation, the currency, really. Buying and selling energy credits. I would stay out of it because it's just a total rigged game in order to rig the economy in a certain way. And so I would avoid getting involved in that, either with your company or with your own personal.
After exploring the trends, strategies, and warnings, it's clear the financial landscape is undergoing a seismic shift. Central banks are hoarding silver, governments are tightening economic controls, and digital currencies are poised to redefine how wealth is managed. But what does all of this mean for you? Here's the bottom line. Silver isn't just an investment. It's a safeguard against a system that's becoming increasingly centralized and restrictive. When central banks, the most informed players in the financial game, are stockpiling silver alongside gold, it's a signal you can't afford to ignore. They're preparing for a future where tangible assets, free from digital oversight, hold the ultimate value. The rise of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, could bring unparalleled financial surveillance and control. Imagine a world where your every transaction is monitored and where governments can freeze your assets or restrict your spending at will. Silver is the antidote to this system, a physical, untraceable asset that empowers you to maintain financial freedom. Moreover, silver's dual role as an industrial and monetary metal makes it a unique growth opportunity. With demand driven by green energy, technology, and medical advancements, silver is not only a hedge, it's a high-potential asset that could see significant appreciation in value. But here's the urgent reality. Time is not on your side. Central banks and institutional investors are already making their moves, and the window to act is narrowing. By investing in silver now, you're not just following a trend. You're taking a stand to protect your wealth, your privacy, and your future in an uncertain world. So what's your next step? Start by evaluating your portfolio and making room for this invaluable asset. Whether it's physical silver, ETS, or a diversified approach, acting now ensures you're ahead of the curve. And before we wrap up, if this information has helped you understand the urgency of the situation, hit that subscribe button to stay informed about the latest strategies to safeguard your financial future. Remember, this video is not financial advice. It's a wake-up call. Don't wait until it's too late to protect what's yours.